Thunder in the spirit of Geronimo and Crazy Horse. I think we have a boiling point today, and it's just a further indication of what's going on in the world as a whole. And it could all be connected. Now, this morning Russia came out and gave pretty conclusive proof. I'd say conclusive proof myself, but other people are going to say, oh, I don't know. And there's already denial, but they gave conclusive proof to me that Turkey is involved in making millions of dollars off the oil that is sold to them by ISIS, and then some of this money is being used to fund them directly with arms and all kinds of situations. And Russia had a huge press conference this morning and broke this news. And of course, Turkey is a NATO country, so if Turkey's doing a huge illicit trafficking with ISIL and supporting ISIL, then if you're all in the same bed together, don't you all have to share the same blame? So we know that Russia is part of NATO, and NATO is the West, and it's the USA and all European Union, and they all back each other, and they all go to bed together, and they all have lots of fun trying to overthrow legitimate governments, okay? But Turkey has come out, or Russia has come out and said Erdogan, the president or the premier, whatever he is, and his family and his son and everything else is involved in this up to their necks, okay? They're in a shitstorm up to their necks in the support of ISIL, the big bad terrorists, the big bad guys that the West has said needs to be taken care of. It's such a joke, really. It's such a joke, because you look at this stuff and you see that the West is continuing on with their charade, and that's all it is. It's just a big charade, okay? It's a big show. It's a big charade. They lie continuously, okay? You're not going to get a spin like this from anybody but me, or maybe a few others, but you got to look at the big picture, and you got to look at what's going on here. And what's going on is another lie has been exposed, another major lie, and another reason why the Russian Su-24 bomber was shot down, because they were destroying this valuable illicit income that is profiting, okay, NATO and ISIS, and basically it's like making a strong link between organized crime and the government, you know, our government, not my government, the USA. And again, Russia takes the moral high ground, Putin takes the moral high ground here. Nobody can dispute their facts. They can deny them. This is just starting, people. It's at a boiling point. And we know that this is something that the West didn't want out there, because what did we have happen today right after this? Just coincidentally, and we see this every freaking time, that there's a major revelation or a major exposure of the West's lies. We see a false flag. We see 20 people being killed in California, or a shooter. I don't know if there's 20, we know there's 12 or whatever. This is just breaking news as I'm talking to you. Both of this stuff is breaking news. One news breaks another news. Truthful news breaks news of another shooting. And this kills two birds with one stone, and it's near a Planned Parenthood thing, and supposedly the people were, got away. Now, this is what I'm just seeing right now. This could all change, but supposedly the people got away in a black SUV, and they all had on bulletproof and armor and vests and all this kind of stuff, and 12 people were killed. So they're ramping up the anti-gun thing with this. They're killing a lot of birds with one stone. They're ramping up the anti-gun thing, and they're completely distracting everybody in the mainstream media, CNN and all the freaking puppets of the mainstream government control of mainstream press. It orchestrates it right into like all the press will be covering for the next probably week, okay, or week and a half, is this shooting in California, completely upstaging and drowning out anything about Erdogan and Turkey and the big lies that were uncovered, the huge, huge lies, more important than any goddamn shooting, okay? Or people that, because millions are dying in this terrorist thing. So we're going to worry about another shooting, another staged shooting. Probably haven't had a chance to look at it, but it's just too coincidental. Okay, it's too coincidental, and people should be aware of all these coincidences that happen every time that there's some kind of news that makes America or the government or the central bankers here or the government and Obama and NATO, anytime any kind of news comes out, coincidentally, there's another shooting. And it's real easy to ignite this shit off. Trust me. They just put a guy in place or a little team in place and they activate them. It's a hit squad, and they kill innocent people, and if it's a false flag that kills innocent people, what the shit do they care? Serves their agenda. And at the very least, if this was real, they'll make as much out of it as they can, but it's too coincidental, people, to me. I mean, take it for what it's worth. It'll be interesting to see what the facts are. This could be a major offensive, false flag offensive with the gun thing. Because you've had 2 in a row now, and people are like, they're really pushing this anti-gun agenda. Be real careful right now, people. Keep your eye on this, because this could be an explosive false flag or an explosive staged event, and could be used to start a final push or a large push or some kind of executive order or something on the right to bear arms, okay? I see it coming. And this will completely take everybody's mind off what's really happening, what's really bad in the world, which is the revelations by Russia of the funding of these terrorists and the proxy army of the USA. See, everybody knows this anyway that's in the know. It's just that the mainstream people that watch the mainstream media are people that are in the mainstream, not people that think outside the box like you and I or whoever else is watching this. We don't have to worry about us, because anybody that watches my videos and anybody that watches any videos that are truthful, that are honest investigative reporting on an incident, And again, I am an investigative reporter, seeing as that I am an award-winning author, and so I can easily fit into that slot if I have to be legitimate, make this legitimate. My videos, and they are legitimate and they're truthful, spiced up with a little 4-letter words now and then. And I just bypass all the bullshit and tell you like it is. To me, this is another coordinated false flag before I even look at it. It's just too coincidental. Coincidence, I don't believe in coincidence, okay, like this. I believe in synchronicity, okay, which is totally different. But coincidence, where a world event upstage, or not even a world event, a national event upstages a world event. See, that's how they work it. Okay, there's a world event happening now that exposes our lies and how lawless we are and what big liars we are, and might raise questions with the general public about our legitimacy of our little false incursions into Middle Eastern countries. And again, they're sending troops to Iraq now all of a sudden to fight ISIL. It's the most ridiculous thing. How can they fight their own army? First of all, they're in denial about that they're funding the army and that they're working through with Turkey to fund the army. Okay, they're in denial. They're denying that, but then they're going right into, saying that they're sending troops into Iraq to fight ISIL. They wouldn't do that. The troops aren't going in there to fight ISIL. They're going in there to cause confusion and to put more people on the ground so that Russia can't strike ISIL. So if they're in close proximity to ISIL, the U.S. and their little forces that they're putting back in Iraq now, which is another breaking news event today to distract, if they put them in there, then it's going to be harder for Russia to take out the bad guys if all these idiot buffoons running around in their camis and their, the U.S. guys getting in the way, basically. Getting in the way. And they want to get in the way because they want to protect ISIL. ISIL. So there's all kinds of maneuvering going on here, and it's reached a boiling point, the world's boiling point, I call it. The world is at a boiling point right now. And it's like you're making a soup and you leave it on the stove too long and it starts to bubble over and sputter out onto the stove, and that's where we're at right now. It's like you're going to see all kinds of revelations. It's kind of like a timed chess match. That's kind of like where we're at right now. It's kind of like Putin and Obama, or Putin in the West or Russia in the West, facing off with that little timer that they have right next to chess matches, and it's like it's whipping up into a final showdown, okay, of nation against nation, agenda against agenda, army against army. Everything's coming into play here. Everything's coming into play. Like all the high-tech stuff is coming into play. Another reason that jet was shot down by Turkey is because they're trying to get Russia to use their jamming equipment so that they can hack into it and find out how it works, and Russia's just not going to do that unless they have to. They can jam American aircraft and Israeli aircraft. They can make them go completely black. I think I've talked about this before. So you got all kinds of situations and scenarios going on, man. You got false flags popping off everywhere right now. They're just popping off everywhere, and it's like, you know, there's so many. We should just abbreviate the word false flag and call it FF. FF. There's FFs everywhere right now. And it's just a part of their covert, unconventional warfare, destabilization, the, Ultra K mind control, all of this stuff. MK Ultra mind control. I always get that backwards. It's all happening all at once right now, and it's really interesting how they counter one lie with another lie, and you can't get angry about it. Sometimes I get angry. It's not that I'm getting angry that they're doing it. I'm getting angry at the fact that there's so many people that swallow it. Fish out there that'll just swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, and get reeled into their propaganda bullshit. And those of us who are in, realization of what's going on have to sit here and twiddle our thumbs and try to we try to wonder when the mass populace is going to wake up, and if they do wake up, see, that's another thing, another reason that I think that the world's at a boiling point, or that the situation normal all fucked up, boiling point, snafu, has been reached, or is being reached right now, is because I think the West realizes that big time. They realize that people are like, boop, boop, waking up. Their eyes are popping open gradually. I mean, not like I'd like to see it, but people are questioning more. Okay, people are starting to question, well, why are we going back into Iraq? You said we'd never go back in there. What are we going back in there now for? And why are we getting in the way of Russia? If they want to take out troops, why would we send our boys and women and men and children in harm's way? Fathers and sons and daughters in the military, why would we send them in a situation that would put them in harm's way if Russia wants to take out the terror? There's all kinds of questions starting to arise out of people that can think a little bit. Okay, people that can maybe rub two brain cells together and come up with a deduction that, hey, something ain't right here. What's going on here? And as they're doing this, well, of course, the financial thing hasn't gotten any better, and this is all could be to cover up. That's what some people think. It doesn't seem like an illogical deduction to me to think that, because they always, remember, they'll always try to distract, okay? And they'll always try to make black white and white black. And they're always on to the next false flag and the next agenda. These things happen so quick, these shootings and stuff. They don't even give you time to analyze them or to look at them and see if they're real or not. They don't like you to have too much time to do that. They're on to the next one. And nobody does any investigative journalists. Nobody goes into depth with witnesses and goes in and actually photographs the bodies or gives critical evidence in any way, whether it's photographic or interviews or anything. Nobody gives any critical evidence as to whether any of these shootings are real, and then they just, or the victims are real, and then they just kind of, as the next one comes up, the former one just kind of fades into the woodwork, and all the victims and all the shit. How many of you guys remember the victims in Oregon? Or the victims in Paris? or the victims in the Planned Parenthood thing, or the victims. See how many shootings we're having here? See how many shootings? And of course they're gonna use this to say, see, now this is getting out of control. Now there's just too many as they orchestrate and engineer another freaking shooting. They've got the next one already lined up if this one isn't enough. They've got the next one. They've got operatives. Okay, the CIA and the FBI and all these people have operatives just waiting for a phone call. Okay, it's time to do it. This is a go. Okay, move into the neighborhood in California and take over the building and assassinate a bunch of people and take off, and then we'll just say we caught somebody, but we'll say we had to shoot him, of course, so he could never talk or never go to court. You also realize how many shootings have happened where people don't survive and they never go to court, like in Paris or here, or when they do go to court, it's like 2 years later and the guy might not even look the same, might not even be the same guy. You don't know, do you? Did you ever see the guy and did you ever compare him, and do you do facial recognition and all this shit? See how easy this stuff is to dummy up? It's real easy to dummy up to dummies that aren't thinking in the first place, which is the mass media and the public and everything. Even the mass media buys this shit and they get all emotional about it and everything. They're being used too. Only the people at the top of the mass media chains really know, but they use their people mercilessly as little puppet liars. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens with this revelation today. This is the real thing we want to key in on. We don't want to think about these shootings. We don't want to think about anything but what's really going on a world stage, and that is the revelation that Turkey, which is a NATO member, which is part of the West team, okay, they're allies, and the West knows about this because the evidence that was revealed was all satellite imagery and trucks moving around across borders to refining plants. And so the West has this information because they have satellite imagery just as good as Russia. And it's undeniable, and now Russia's asking to actually go into Turkey and do like a check on these places that they are saying is refining the oil that's been stolen. That's another thing. This oil is being stolen from Syria. Okay? It's being stolen from Syria by the rebels and then sold to Turkey. This is a dirty, dirty business, people. Dirtier than the oil that they're dealing in. Blacker than the oil that they're dealing in. This is about as deep into organized criminal activity as you can get. This makes any shooting in California or anywhere look like child's play. It makes it look like child's play, and yet that's all we're going to hear for the next week or 2 weeks is this shooting, shooting, shooting. To distract the people into thinking that the danger is here in America. Then they'll switch it. Then when that gets old, they'll switch it back to the terrorists, and then they'll switch it back to the shootings here. It's really pathetic how many people just don't realize. I mean, can't you see a pattern? Is it that hard for people to see patterns? I guess it is. I mean, is it that hard to see that there's a world incident and then right after a world incident that might cause embarrassment, there's a false flag or a shooting incident to take your mind completely off of it? Is that really that hard to see, people? Because it's almost a no-brainer now. They've done it so many times over and over and over and over again, ad nauseum. You would have to be a complete moron not to see what they're doing. and not to see where it's going. And you'd have to be a complete moron not to see that the world's at a boiling point right now. It's going to be real interesting to see where this goes on this revelation, because Russia is like a pit bull, okay? I consider them the pit bull of truthfulness and the high moral ground right now. They're sinking their teeth in, and they're not going to give up. They're shaking the hell out of everybody, okay? And they're going to, let's not even forget about the incident that's happening in Crimea and the lack of power outages there, and the Ukraine and Kiev and the southeast of Ukraine, and all that shit's heating up too. What this is called is a 2 or 3 pronged attack. That's what you would call it in military strategy. You would call it a 3-pronged attack, you know, with distractions involved. The 3-pronged attack would be, you know, Syria and Ukraine. That's 2 of the main prongs, and then the other prong would be an attack on this country's intelligence factor, and the distraction, the other prong, would be the shootings. Okay. They get 3 prongs going at once, so that they can switch back forth and manipulate your mind and get you excited about this, and then get you excited about that. All these different things. Oop, this pops up over here, and then this over here, and then this over here. That's what they do. While Russia right now is remaining focused on one thing: terrorists, and taking them out. And taking out whoever is behind the terrorists. They've already said this many, many times. Putin has already said, we're going to get whoever is behind it. What is he doing now? He's going for Turkey's throat. Okay? Because they left themselves wide open with this attack. This attack might have been a good thing in a way. Might have served Russia's purposes perfectly. And so we will see how this plays out. But even if they get upstaged by this shooting thing, Russia will come out with something else further down the line, because they don't reveal everything at once. They're masters too, and Putin's a chess master. And so even today, when they were revealing this latest information on Turkey and how they're in bed with the West in supplying arms and buying oil from ISIL, even though they presented that fact, they said, we would like to use journalists, and we will be revealing more to you journalists, but we feel you journalists should dig for some of this stuff yourself. But they said that this is just part of the evidence. It's only part of the evidence. They made that clear. So what they're saying is, here's the evidence that Turkey and the West is involved in this, and they'll give the West and Turkey a chance to deny it, say it's not conclusive, and then they'll come up with a double whammy later on, conclusive proof, or they'll put the screws to Turkey and say, let us go in, or they'll go to the UN and ask for a petition, okay, to stop this kind of thing and to be able to go in. And if they see that all of their through the channels and direct presentation of evidence doesn't work, then they'll take it to another level. And see, that's what you have to worry about, is as these levels keep going up and Russia is on the straight and narrow and the moral high ground, and providing evidence and providing facts and providing truth, and it's all of these facts and truth are denied and overwhelmed with false flag and bullshit propaganda, and then they have to take it up another notch and get a little deeper and deeper, and then they'll take it up another notch till finally there's no more notches left, and it'll just be a world flashpoint, which it is already, where one side's just going to say we've had enough, and they're going to take really drastic measures and really. But see, this stuff, the sad part about this stuff is this stuff could play on for a long time, covering up the real seriousness of the matter. And by covering up the real seriousness of the matter will get more serious. Until, like I say, there's just that final bubble that pops, or the. And it's sad because, you know, there's an old story that's probably true, okay, that if you put a frog in a pot of water and then you bring it to a slow boil, the frog won't know and it'll die, it won't react. But if you throw a frog in some boiling water, it'll probably leap out, which was its first reaction. And see, that's where the American public and the world in general is right now. They're that boiling frog. They're that frog that's been put in water and is swimming around and it just feels great. And now that's being brought to the heat's being turned up and the flame's getting hotter and the water's starting to heat up. But the frog doesn't know because it doesn't feel a gradual heat increase to the point of boiling and death. Okay? It doesn't feel a gradual heat increase until the point of boiling and death. Just like that's going to happen to all you people out there that aren't listening. In La La Land, that's what's going to happen to you. That is what is happening to you right now. And so you need to form your own intelligence community, okay, your own intel network, and not rely on obvious deception any longer. Even if you got to listen to guys like me. This video should be passed around, and I notice that I'm getting more subscribers, but I'm not so sure that YouTube or Google or something isn't, because I get subscribers every day, and I'm just wondering if these people are getting notifications, because you know what? I subscribe to a lot of things and I don't get notifications on it. And so I think they pick and choose. They might look, YouTube and Google and people like this might look like, oh yeah, we're above board and we allow people to do videos on any kind of thing like Thunder does, but we'll only allow if you see a bunch of people with thousands and thousands of views, you got to wonder how they got those views and why somebody like me who's been on the air for years or has been doing videos for years only gets like 100, and these people are get 2,000-3,000 in like a half an hour after they release the video. That to me ensures to me that there's manipulation going on. And if they're squelching my videos, or if they're not allowing even my subscribers to see my videos, guess what, people? I'm saying something they don't want you to hear. That's plain and simple. Period. End of story. So the only way that you're going to get this kind of news out to other people is in a nonchalant manner, where you just say, hey, yeah, check this video out, or put my link up there, or just even talk about what I say and then refer them to the link or whatever. But you really need to do this if you don't want to be that complicit in allowing that frog to just come to a slow boil and die. Might want to keep that, you want to keep that in mind. So today we have this is like one of those kind of days where there's nothing, you know, this one of these kind of weeks, I should say, where there's nothing, and then boom, all of a sudden stuff pops up in one day. That's how quick it can happen, like that. It can pop up in one day. Something really significant, just like the shooting down of the jet. And then boom, it's right followed. Wasn't the last incident like that shooting down of the jet? Wasn't that followed by a shooting? If you don't, if you can recollect that far back, yes, it was. Within the day or a day or two, we had a shooting. It was either the Planned Parenthood thing or some other shooting here. And again, they're completing two agendas with one incident. Stifle the real news and the important news about what's going on in the world and our lies and the lies that we're getting caught in, and promote the agenda of gun control, which is all one big agenda really, which is their massive control over people and their whatever their new world order or their new new world order horrific crap is. So this is where I'm going to leave it today. Just thought I'd get this out, kind of like breaking news, you know. Breaking news, boiling point, world's boiling point reached, or reaching world's boiling point. New incidents that they'll downplay and squelch and try to fade into the woodwork, and each of these incidents is supremely important. As a strategist, you would have up on the wall, okay, just like any strategist would, you would put up on the wall. I don't have to put it up on a wall, it's all up here, but you would put up on a wall all the incidents that have happened in the last year, and then all the false flag shootings that have followed them, and then all the propaganda and lies, and then all, you know, you would put it up there kind of like a chart so that you could look at it and go, yeah, I see the big picture here. That's what Thunder does. He sees the big picture. And the big picture's a bitch, okay? Because it's something that when you put it in that hawk's eye view, okay, when you take a hawk's eye view of the big picture, then you see it's easily to discern who the truthful people are and who the liars are. All right, I'll leave it there today. I'd just say be ready for anything right now, especially during this time of the year. Things can get more intense because they realize that people are, they realize that people are intensely doing things with family and that, but they also realize that people are a little bit more laid back and starting to relax, and so they don't want people to relax. That's another mind control thing. They want people to get amped out and terrorized out. So be careful, people. All right, this is Thunder. Really care about all you people, and I'm just going to leave it there today. Adios.